Today, while painting this rock, I will share how we set up the outdoor cats for winter and fall. So it's gotten cold here, and well, fall, so it's starting to get cold. We still have some warm days. So every winter, or before winter, there's a few things I like to do. So we have had outdoor cats for several years, and we like to do what we can to make life good for them in the winter. Now, these are cats that are not friendly enough to be indoor cats, just so everyone knows that ahead of time. And we also have extra shelters set up just in case there's a new cat that comes by that needs help in the winter. So one thing we always do in our container shelters every year is put in fresh straw. And this also confirms that there has not been any leaking. If there was leaks, we would have to obviously figure out that. But this year there was not any leaks. I did have some trouble with the lid, but I was able to just use tape to secure the styrofoam back to the lid, and the styrofoam helps the shelter stay warmer for the cats. And we have two of those. We also have this old cat house that my husband built the very first time we had a cat show up. It's not the most insulated, but it definitely is something for them, and will help them stay warm especially if a newer cat comes in, or in the fall. We have two resident outdoor cats right now. I call them resident, but really they're community cats, and they could be spending just as much time at someone else's house. I don't know where they go during the day or during the night. So one thing we do is just have the extra shelters just in case they bring a friend. I do not want friends, because we definitely don't need any more outdoor cats. And these cats are fixed, so if any new ones show up, we get them fixed. Anyway, we also have a shed for the cats, and I've made several videos about the shed already. This year I went through the normal process of taking out all the straw that was in there, and we have heated cat beds. Well, they're heated cat beds inside cat houses, and straw cannot go in those. Only thing that can go in those houses is the cat beds that come with it. And we have electricity in our shed, which was put in by an electrician, so it's super safe. And today I'm going to do a little pumpkin, I think. Every year I like to test the cat beds to make sure they're still working, because we don't leave them plugged in the winter, because in the winter they obviously don't need in the summer they don't need heated cat beds, because they stay plenty warm out there. I might have to let this dry for a second. So this year I tested both beds, and they heated up. This took some time, up to 102 Fahrenheit, which is like the temperature of a cat. So the way the beds work in this brand, they only heat up when a cat is on it. So I used it was just like a bag of fabric over a Pampered Chef thermometer thing that you would use like for food, and just set it there for 20 minutes or a half hour just to see if it was going to warm up. And eventually they both did. So I'm confident that the pads are still good, because I think you can just get replacement pads. You wouldn't have to buy the whole house again if the pads wore out. And another thing we did differently this year, the one house, it's called like extra wide. It had a habit of, well, the cats like to jump on it because obviously, like, cats aren't gonna know like that the roof isn't stable for, it's not meant for to hold the weight of a cat. I think that's one of the flaws of the design of the double wide. The other one's like an angle, like the A-frame on the top, so they're not going to be sitting on that. So this year we put a, I shoved it in between the shelves. I put another shelving unit in there, so that way they can't keep jumping on the top, which that would make the roof cave in. So that would be hard on a cat that was in there if another cat jumped on it. And also, it lets heat escape because that's just how it works. If there's an opening. I don't know if this is really pumpkin orange, but we have our little pumpkin. I don't know if you can see that. I'll show you the whole thing when I'm done. And then we also have a food shelter for the cats. And on that, or in that, that's where we keep all the extra straw. Like, a cat could come by and want to just sit in there for a while, especially on the days where it's not like freezing, but it's cold. They might not want to be in the shed. Like, they can still see out of the food shelter. So every year we buy just like one bale of straw, and then we just set it in there. And then I think the pumpkin is way bigger than the cat. And then sometimes the cats will hang out in the food shelter during the day, maybe even at night. And in the past, it's been most common for new outdoor cats, like, to show up in the winter when it's cold. That's actually how Winter got his name, because he showed up in the winter. And when we took him in to get fixed, you have to put a name on the form. So that's how he got his name, because it was winter. And I thought maybe we were going to be able to find him a home, but then he just wasn't quite friendly enough, and I couldn't find anyone willing to work with him. So he has remained outside since then. But that's why we like to have all these extra things, because if a new cat shows up, Winter and Pork Chop probably aren't just going to say, hey, come into the shed, because how cats are territorial. So then if a new cat does show up in the spring, we would get it fixed. Or if it's like a cat that's obviously like an indoor cat that's lost or abandoned, we would help it find its way back to its owner, or work with a rescue to get it rehomed. Because I'm not looking for any more indoor cats right now. Here's the little cat. So I like painting black cats because we had a black one named Midnight outside for a while, but he's passed away. Okay, I don't know about this blue background. Like, the pumpkin's the same size as the cat. I guess it could be a really big pumpkin and a small cat. I'm gonna try not to overthink that too much. Yeah, so for the outdoor cats, eventually we'll put out a heated water bowl as well. This is October, and here where we live, we really don't need the heated water bowl usually until December, but we'll just see how it goes. Sometimes we have to put it out in November. It just depends on how, obviously, if the temperature is going to be dropping below freezing. Like this time of year, we have, temperatures below freezing not quite yet. Like we've had some nights in the 40s, but once it starts getting below freezing, we'll have that heated water bowl out for the cats too. And before we had the heated water bowl, I had a system like where I was using those casserole hot packs. And I can link to this in the below in case you want to do this if you don't have electricity outside for your cats. I would several times a day I would warm up like those casserole hot packs you keep in the with your casseroles, like when you're taking them somewhere to keep them warm. And I would put that with under their water dish to try to keep it from freezing for a few hours so they could get a drink, sometime. And eventually we got the heated water bowl, and it makes life so much easier and more convenient. Well, convenient for me. And then the cats can have water all night too. Yep, so that's kind of what we do. We just make sure all the shelters are good for fall and refill them with straw. And with the straw, you can put in more than you might think into the shelter because they're going to push it down and make like a little burrow in the back of it anyway. And sometimes we do have other animals use those. I don't know if a raccoon's ever gone in. Like a small raccoon might fit through the opening. But we definitely had possums in the container shelters before because sadly we had one die in there over the winter once. And then we didn't know it though until it warmed up and then we could smell it. And it was really sad and I felt bad for it. Let's see, that didn't work how I thought it was going to. Yeah, so we just do what we can to help the outdoor cats. And a few years ago, actually more than a few now, like in 2017 and 2018, I learned how to get the outdoor cats fixed after a feral cat that I didn't even know about decided to have her kittens in my yard. So we learned how to get her fixed. But then I found out who else was feeding cats in the neighborhood, and we worked together. Whoa, it's kind of a glare. We all worked together and we got them about 30 neighborhood cats fixed. So that definitely helped out with keeping the population in check. Like once it took a while to get them all fixed, and most of them fixed anyway. Whoops, there's some water on there. Yeah, so definitely it takes time and effort and someone who has time to be transporting these cats to a place to get them fixed. Like my favorite place was in Ohio called 𝐒𝐚𝐭 Ohio. And when we got the cats fixed, it was kind of chaos, but they were doing it where you didn't need to have appointments. So that made it easier because once you trapped a cat, you could just take it in the next day and get it fixed. Looks like this cat's floating. And they keep the cats overnight there, so if anything goes wrong with the surgery, the cat's already going to be there, still in the trap, and they can help it if it needs help. Anyway, that takes a lot of time though, and at the time I had a job where I could basically just drop off the cats on the way to work and then the next day I was able to go pick them up, take them back to where they came from, because you always release them where you found them, and then just go to work a little late that day. But now Humane Ohio, like with COVID and the high demand for getting cats fixed, they require appointments, which is okay, and I totally understand that. It just makes it a little harder with planning and getting cats trapped. And then, like, sometimes, I think I'll put a little cloud up here. I'm not that good at clouds. So, like, last winter or in the spring, there was like a new cat outside. But unfortunately, it was like a male that was probably passing through that was not fixed, just looking for a mate. And I didn't make an appointment in time. Actually, I only made one appointment, but it wasn't confirmed. I don't know, it was way too last minute. And then he stopped coming around, so hopefully someone else got him fixed. Okay. I don't know if you can see this. That's what I have so far, the cat and the pumpkin. And I think this needs a little, I didn't have very much sky right here. And later on, another time, I will paint the bottom of this and then seal these rocks so I can take them to the park and give them away, unless I decide to keep this. I was thinking about putting another cat on this side of the pumpkin, because I think that would be cute. Instead of doing two black, I think I'll do a gray cat, because we used to have a gray cat outside too. His name was Charcoal, and he was like best friends with Midnight. So sometimes I like to paint them together. And Charcoal has also passed away. It was really sad. They both had, well, we didn't know it at the time, but with Charcoal had feline leukemia, which is a whole nother story. But he had it outside so long before we knew it. Like, he had already been exposing all the other cats anyway, so, and he was best friends with Midnight, who didn't have it at the time. So we got Midnight vaccinated, and they were best friends. And then they showed up in our yard at different times, but they became best friends. So I don't know if they knew each other from another house or what, but because Midnight, when he showed up, he was already ear tipped. And that's like when, this cat looks way too small. That's okay. It's art. So with art, it's okay if things aren't always in the right perspective, especially if it's just like a little rock for fun. Like if the scales are off. Like, some people would be really judgmental, but that's okay. I'm giving something to talk about. I'll just try to make this one a little bit bigger. I feel like I don't have enough paint on the brush. So as you can see, I got out way too much paint for this little rock, and I don't like to waste paint, so maybe I'll do another one quick too. We'll see. And sometimes my cats get accidentally huge when I paint them because of trying to make their ears look right. There we go. That looks better. Now he looks a little chunky, which is okay. So if you have any questions about outdoor cats, how to care for them. I might know the answer, so you can leave me a question in the comments. That'd be fine. Try to make this look more natural. Some highlights in here. That's not all the same shade. I think I have, oh no. Well, that's okay. That's what happens when you paint. And with acrylic paint, like that little smudge I just made that I didn't like on there, you can just cover it up later. But then, or maybe try to remove it. I don't know what I'm doing sometimes. Yeah, that's not coming off. Okay, and then I'm just gonna dab in some dots that like maybe look like fall leaves around here. I once heard the phrase dots fixes lots, which is kind of stuck with me. Like I probably heard that in some art class or some painting video I watched about how to paint. So we're just putting a few little leaves in here. And then I think all I have to do is fix this spot I messed up. So the question is, do I make a bigger cat? I don't know if a bigger cat would look right. The problem is the blue I did before, like making that same blue again, will be hard because I just mixed white with blue to make the light blue, and then would I be able to mix it in the same way again? I don't know. Probably not. So I think I'm just going to make the cat a little bit bigger to fix this. And this is how I talked about earlier, how I end up like giant cats in my art sometimes. It's because of this. There. Actually, that might look a little bit better than how I had it before. Oh, this one's ear's not big enough. Just keep adding. And eventually it comes out okay, I think. But now this cat looks huge compared to the other one. What I say that he's closer. Okay, and sometimes I have glare from the lights in here. I'm just doing the best I can. I'm having a good time while doing it. If there's anything you want to hear me talk about, just let me know. And I'll probably talk about it. Can't guarantee that I will, but maybe. Okay. Now I just have to put some grass by the gray cat, which mostly looks like a cat. So now I'm judging myself. There. I don't know if that's cat hair. Oh, it says rogue. Maybe I can just cut that off. I don't really know how you're supposed to remove that. It's driving me crazy. Maybe if you're an artist and watching this, you can tell me what I was really supposed to do. But that's how I took care of it. Okay. Just have to decide if I'm satisfied with this cat. I think I am. I think the black one looks really nice. The gray one, I don't know. It got too big, and I already talked about that. But sometimes I like things better after they dry. Let's make it a little chunkier over here. Okay, and sometimes I just have to stop messing with it. Uh-oh. That smeared it. Well, here it is. Thank you for watching and have a great day.